The 7 days, because it's literally 1 week, that have reshaped Syria have been a whirlwind of events heralding the end of Bashar al-Assad's regime and the emergence of uh, Tahrir al-Sham, the HTS, as the dominant force in Syria. And the collapse of Assad's grip on power has been marked by these swift rebel advances culminating in the capture of Damascus and the symbolic fall of the Homs clock tower, this powerful reminder of Syria's decade-long conflict. So HTS, which was once viewed as a militant faction tied to al-Qaeda, began its campaign in Idlib, surged southwards. Within days, it had seized Aleppo, Hama, Homs, cutting off Assad's regime from its coastal strongholds and Tehran-backed militias. The leadership under Abu Muhammad al-Jolani displayed unexpected political acumen, and reports of civilian protection, the orderly surrender of Assad troops, the release of detainees from the notorious prisons, have won the group cautious, loyal, and international attention, and that needs to be taken seriously. Jolani's commitment to moderation, despite HTS's brutal history, despite his background, makes him a polarizing but a figure who should command optimism. People can change, and people in this position who are embarking on a new role should be given the support and the opportunity because there isn't an alternative. Tehran, overstretched and reeling from the Israeli strikes, withdrew its support as Assad faltered, and Moscow, preoccupied with its war in Ukraine, limited its intervention. And these factors highlighted the fragility of Assad's regime, its dependence on foreign patrons, and Russia, of course, effectively then abandons its seaport and its military air base, or at least those two sites are now potentially under siege. Assad's fall has reshaped the Middle East, and Iran's influence in Syria, its vital supply routes to Hezbollah, has been seriously curtailed. And meanwhile, Turkey stands to gain, leveraging its ties with HTS to counter Kurdish groups in the region. But Turkey needs to lead the way in ensuring that the emerging government in Syria is moderate in its inception and its development, and it needs support. Turkey can lead the way in forging a viable state, but it needs to be done quickly. And I think it needs to be done with the cooperation and support of other nations in the area, particularly Israel and Jordan, and possibly Cyprus and Greece. While HTS has rebranded itself as a non-terrorist organization, its links with the past, with Jabhat al-Nusra, will of course remain a point of contention, and the group's restraint in victory must be held up as a sharp lesson to history, prompting hopes for a new political era, even if there is skepticism about its long-term intentions and about its past. Syria faces the challenge of avoiding Libya's post-Gaddafi chaos, and international support for a transitional government, for federalism and justice mechanisms is critical to prevent the fragmentation of power and the resurgence of extremist groups. For Israel, the weakening of Iran and Hezbollah is a strategic win, but vigilance over Syria's Golan Heights remains essential. For Turkey, the balance of power with Kurdish factions will shape its policy. But again, there's an opportunity for Turkey to establish a distinction between the Kurdish society in the north of Iraq and the PKK. For Israel, the weakening of Iran and Hezbollah is an unexpected and strategic win, but vigilance over Syria's Golan Heights is an essential concern. And for Turkey, because Damascus is only a short distance from the Golan Heights. For Turkey, the balance of power with Kurdish factions will shape its policy. For Israel, the proximity of Damascus to the Golan Heights will shape its policy. Iran, meanwhile, must recalibrate its regional ambitions, as must Russia. The Assad dynasty's collapse marks the close of a brutal chapter in Syria's history, and the ransacking of the presidential palace, the destruction of Assad's portraits, the liberation of Damascus symbolize the end of a reign defined by repression and corruption. Yet as jubilant crowds flood the streets, the daunting task of rebuilding Syria and fostering stability begins, and the world watches, and the world should help. Because it's not enough simply to hope that Syria's future will not repeat its past. We need to actively engage with Syria to assist in the transition from brutality to stability.